Mr. Speaker, I rise today to update this House and the listening public of changes made to take education reform forward in Bermuda. While you've heard much about the transformative work underway to continue to transform our senior signature schools, the work to prepare transition to parish primary schools, and last week Friday, the announcement of school closures, there has also been much work underway in the background to mobilize resources and ensure the conditions are in place to maximize success in the next phase of education reform. Mr. Speaker, as the Premier and I have said on several occasions prior, transforming outcomes for children and young people is not only unprecedented in education circles in Bermuda, but this level of whole system change is also unprecedented in the public service in Bermuda. We know that the work is critical to the success and prosperity of our country. So now is the time to strengthen our resolve. We have taken the opportunity to reflect on our approach to improve our processes and, where possible, identify how we can increase our efforts. In short, the government is expanding its commitment and investment to ensure we have the right people to govern, lead, and deliver education reform in Bermuda. There are 3 changes that key stakeholders and the community can expect to see in place to progress our education reform agenda. 1, governance of education reform. 2, leadership of education reform. And 3, delivery of education reform. Mr. Speaker, let me take these in turn. Firstly, governance of education reform. The first changes is the establishment of the Governance Committee, as announced in my response to the throne speech last November. As we prepare to introduce an education authority, we are increasing the independence and decision-making authority of the committee, co-chaired by myself and Mr. Philip Butterfield, Chair of Bermuda First. Other members of the Reformed Governance Committee are the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education, Ms. Jasmine Smith, the Commissioner of Education, Ms. Kalmar Richards, the lead of the Education Reform Unit, Ms. Lisa De Silva, and a representative of the Education Authority Working Group, Ms. Shana Williams. Mr. Speaker, the second change is the leadership of education reform. I have previously announced that Ms. Lisa De Silva, a well-respected education veteran with over 25 years' experience in education in Bermuda, is taking up the helm to lead the Education Reform Unit. As a new approach to taking education reform forward, protocols are in place to clarify where responsibility and decision-making authority lies between the Education Reform Unit and the Department of Education. In short, the Education Reform Unit, through Mrs. De Silva, is responsible for the following: designing the school and system of the future, ensuring the conditions are in place for that to succeed. At the Department of Education, through Commissioner Richards, holds the responsibility for the following: continuing the provision within the current model of schools and the system, supporting and enabling the transition to new models. Regardless of where people sit or their responsibilities, they share and are united by a laser-like focus on Bermuda's children and the young people. As such, we look forward to the shared guidance and leadership of both Mrs. De Silva and Commissioner Richards as they work to ensure everyone involved in education works collaboratively towards the same goal. Mr. Speaker, the last change is how we ensure the delivery of education reform. The newly formed Education Reform Unit has replaced what was formerly known as the Learning First Internal Governance Team. The Education Reform Unit resides in the Ministry of Education headquarters. A group of experienced Bermudian professionals, some educators, and other technical service providers have been released from their duties and or retained to focus solely on the ambitious but critical agenda. Details about the portfolio areas and individuals appointed to lead are available on the Education Reform website, www.learningfirstbda.com. The delivery of education reform will continue to involve the whole community through school transformation teams and working groups. And I thank each member of those teams for their dedication and commitment to redesigning schools and the system on behalf of us all, and encourage anyone else that is interested to come forward to offer their support. Also, as previously announced, the Governance Committee, leadership, and delivery teams for education reform will continue to be supported by representatives of our change partner, the Innovation Unit. Mr. Speaker, this government pledged to transform the education system in Bermuda to one that makes us proud. We are all fully vested in this undertaking, evidenced by the reform work in progress by the newly engaged teams. I am proud and grateful for the professionals and community members who share the desire to give Bermuda's children the best education possible by providing them with their time. I'm genuinely excited about what comes next. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.